here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
Dropped. It went flying away towards slip. In the air he went, got a hand on it.
Phil Simmons he'd be very disappointed that he didn't take that one above his head and see the end of Mark Waugh. He made very good height. Well, really only got one handle. Well, it might have been a bit harsh there. Ended up paddling it back over the top.
Oh, and that one just passed the stumps. So a little inside edge there. Mark Waugh having a few problems with the extra bounce here. Big appeal there. Yes, he's got the little inside edge. Waugh doesn't look too happy about it. Just a little glance down the wicket. Perhaps he was looking at the wicket. See if we can pick up a nick there, but it doesn't really matter.
It's probably the perfect length, that length we've been talking about. Mark Waugh, well, if anything, looked to get an outside edge on that. And umpire Cole Timmins has ruled in favour of Ambrose. Mark Waugh out for 9. Port Murray bowled Ambrose. Australia now 3 for 85.
Shouts of catch it, and Richie Richardson, the captain, has done that. And once again, Curtly Ambrose does the job for his skipper. Just when they need breakthroughs, he's the man who seems to come up with them.
And that is just the one they wanted. David Boone was the man holding together this Australian innings. That was a good delivery. Boone had to play at it. It left him just a fraction, lifted. He played it straight enough. And Richie Richardson had to come forward a little, a fraction sideways, and took the catch quite safely. Ambrose has done it again. And the Australians 4 for 90.
And a shout, he's got him first ball. So Ambrose is now on a hat-trick, having got rid of Boone and Border in successive deliveries.
And if the ball to get Boone was a good one, that was an absolute beauty. It drew Border into the stroke and cut away from him, just feathered the outside edge, and was taken by Junior Murray. Now the Australians in complete disarray here. 5 for 90 at the moment.
Those wickets in a test series for the West Indies against Australia. Malcolm Marshall 28 in 84-85. Curtly Ambrose is just 1 behind that in the current series. And he's passed by 1 his performance in 88-89. Edged and straight to Brian Lara. So that's 3 on the trot now for Ian Healy as Australia lose their 6th wicket.
And that was well bowled, but Healy was pushing out a long, long way there. Wasn't waiting for the ball to come to him. He's eager to get the bat on the ball. And now for Curtly Ambrose, 28 to equal Malcolm Marshall, and he still has a few to go.
It's in the air, could be out. Arthur's running with the ball. He should catch this. He does. Ambrose gets 5. Big Merck trying to hit him down the ground. That was a fine catch. Great fast bowler has Australia on the rocks here at the Wacker. He's picked up 5 for 1.
This was a wicket that Australia could ill afford to lose. They've already lost most of their specialist batsmen. Merv Hughes really had a job to do to stick with Damien Martin. He's decided to go on the attack, and he's only managed to sky one up. And Keith Arthurton takes a very good catch. So Australia now really struggling here at the Wacker. Merv Hughes is on his way back with his mates, and Australia are 7 for 102.
He's got another one. He's got 6 for 1. What a magnificent spell. The half volley's there for a straight to second slip. This is one of the best efforts ever at the Wacker by this great fast bowler.
We're seeing Curtly Ambrose bowl the perfect whacker length. Gets it up there to try and get the batsman driving. That's what he's done with Damien Martin on this occasion. Damien Martin half driving at the ball, a thick outside edge, carries almost chest height to Phil Simmons at first slip. A great spell of bowling, some very intelligent bowling by Curtly Ambrose. Australia reeling. Damien Martin gone for 13. Australia 8 for 104.
It's 7 for 1. He's got another one. What a spell. Magnificent bowling. Australia 9 for 104. Angel out for duck.
I think we talked earlier in this series about just how unlucky Curtly Ambrose is. And if he has a day on where he hits the edge all the time, it'll be worth watching. And that's what we've got here today at the Wacker. Joe Angel in his first test match, driving. Once again, the wicket falls with the bowling from the river end. Curtly Ambrose takes his 7th wicket. Australia now really in trouble here. 9 for 104, and Daddles has been overworked.
Oh well. The great Curtly Ambrose at the Wacker, Western Australian Cricket Association. Perhaps in our time, used to be the fastest pitch in the world. Welcome to West Indies Cricket 101. A little bit down memory lane there. You know, it's you talk about the West Indies all-time great bowling attack, and you know, West Indies all-time great team. Sobers coming at 6. The wicket keeper. You know, sometimes you have to juggle between Dujon and Hendricks. They said Hendricks was as good. I would have to ask Vincent, because he would have seen Hendricks. And then your spinner, it will have to be Lance Gibbs, and you have to go with 3 fast bowlers, and Marshall, and then you stop. Holding, Ambrose, or is it Marshall, Holding, and Roberts, or Marshall, Roberts, and Ambrose? It's always a big toss-up there of those 4. Which one will sit if you have to play 3 fast? Because once you have Sobers there, he's a 4th fast bowler, and he's also a second spinner. I mean, I don't see any team on earth at any time in cricket history dominating that attack. But clearly, Curtly Ambrose is up there. And it always gives me a headache. You know, you lie down at nights and you know, you can't go to sleep, and your mind runs to cricket invariably, and you're trying to figure out the greatest West Indies team ever. And that's always a headache for me, you know. Everybody says Marshall is number 1, so you can't go against everybody. Holding is in a class by himself. Roberts, for me, who, as far as brains, I think he's the fast bowler that we produce with the most brains. And long before you hear about mixing it up and the slow bounce on, what they say nowadays, bowl into the surface and all that kind of stuff. Robert's been doing that long, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And then, of course, Curtly Ambrose. I mean, you know. Anyhow, here we are. Good evening. Another week at the office. Those of you who are Edgar Metall's the novelist, A Day at the Office, one of his great novels. another week at the office for the West Indies. When we left last week, we were 1-0 in the 2020 series. And we come back. We lost that series 2-1. And then today, we lost the first one, the international, the first ODI. It's a bad week at the office for the West Indies. The young ladies would raise our expectations. Unfortunately, they went down by 8 runs or so. They fought, but they just didn't go over the line. A bad week for us. And then, of course, there was I was just about to say Jones Cup. You all know how old I am, right? If I talk about Jones Cup, right? The Intercounty Championship. Demerara walking easily home. They were in the finals against Essequibo. Berbice didn't make it into the finals, and Demerara. It's good to see young Chanderpaul back among the runs, and not just back among the runs, but playing positively. But good evening. Please share the link, please share the live, and let everyone know that we are on. Dr. Vincent Adams is here. I think Butcher will join us a little bit later on. And so we will look at what transpired during the week and, of course, get some expert analysis. After all the shouting, after all the celebration, the greatest sport, the greatest sporting party, after all of that, it's back to the grind. Back to the grind. For me, it was good to see India get whooped. I really think India get too cocky. I really do think so. And they were hustled out for 46, and although in the second innings they managed to get up to 400 and something, it was not enough. And New Zealand romped home. I'm not a New Zealand fan, but India's gotten too cocky. And it was good to see them get whooped. And then, of course, Pakistan also came back. And as we were saying in Guyana and the Caribbean, dig it in England. England also with that ball nonsense. You know, anyhow, it was ugly to me. I know the sweep shot is one of the weapons against spin bowling. But when you look at a bowler bowls 6 balls, and the only shot the batsman can play is either the conventional sweep or the reverse sweep. It was ugly for me to look at, right? Again, my age is telling, because for me, as Joanna Lott would say, that is not cricket. That is not cricket. If only one shot a batsman can play, albeit, yes, the spinners were on top of things. The Pakistani brought back two 30-something-year-old spinners. That was amazing. And they bench Babar, who is perhaps at least one of the top 2 batsmen in the world, but they benched him. They benched Afridi, the top fast bowler, and so on. And they brought back 2 aged spinners, as they would say. And they took them alone, bowled down England 2 times. Again, I think teams like England and Australia and India, they have gotten too cocky. And if for that reason alone, I'm glad they get, because I have the same attitude to Trinidad in regional cricket. I have the same attitude. I think Trinidad has a good team, but they've gotten too cocky. You know, and that's not cricket. Welcome to all of you, Samuel, Asquith, Asher, Bantu. Welcome to West Indies Cricket 101. Dr. Adams, good evening.
Good evening, Doc. How are you doing? Welcome to our listeners here. Friday, like I always say, these are special people to be. Well, it's Sunday. No, this is Sunday. To both nights have to be special because folks are looking forward to going to work in the morning, so they're preparing. So
Yeah,
we're grateful for them finding the time.
finding the time. You remember in when we were small boys and things, Sunday night is when you ironing up.
That's and not only ironing, but you put in our whiting. Remember, you used to white up. You know, even if it's your lace, you're whitening up that lace.
Whiten up the lace. Yeah. Sunday night was each night had a flavor to it, you know.
Yeah. Sunday night was you ironing your kiki pants and thing there, you know.
Yeah. When they put the starch on the cakey pants, that seems stand up. Bright and early Monday morning.
Yes.
Did you see Jackie Hendricks in his time?
Yes, I saw him. I did see him. I saw quite a few wicket keepers in my time. Not necessarily playing against them, but I played a lot of cricket with David Murray, for example, one of the outstanding
Right.
wicket keepers from Barbados, and but I I I think in my view, of course, Hendricks was very good, but there's very little difference between Hendricks and the Jamaican
Dujon.
Dan Dujan in terms of wicket keeping. And if I'm to pick one in an all-time team, it would be Dujan because of the batting, the difference in the batting. But to me, there's very little to choose between them in the wicket keeping itself. So I would give Dujan the edge in terms of if I'm picking an all-time West Indies team.
Yeah, I saw clips of Jackie Hendricks. I think the other night I stumbled into a clip of him, and he was effecting a stumping, and I could see why he was highly rated.
Right.
He was an awesome stumper, apparently, and so on. So, but the old timers believe. But during the '60s, you had our own Mendonca. Mendonca, who I think played a couple, right. You of course had Jackie Hendricks,
Jackie,
you have David Allen from Barbados.
Yep.
Right. And then towards the end, you had people like Findlay coming through in 1969.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah,
so
but Finlay and Derek Murray were not really, I mean, most people we could keep against pace. That's not a problem as well. It's we can keep against the spin.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially Derek Murray. Derek Murray came at the right time when he had the quicks playing. Even I used to we could keep against. I did we could keep it and against pace. It's easy as long as you got a little bit of ball sense and but when it's the spinners that when it's bunks and torn, they're right up. The batsman is hiding the ball from you. I mean, it takes a lot of reflexes.
Yeah.
And because just imagine the batsman is the ball is in front of the batsman is between you and the ball, and you just got a split second by the time it passes that bat. And a lot of times, or the body of the batsman for you to react. So the spin bowling is who you really judge a wicketkeeper from how well they're doing against spin bowling. Every wicketkeeper that went behind the stumps they're basically not a whole lot of fault in them keeping the fast bowlers. It's the spinners.
The spinners.
Like Jackie Hendricks was very good, and he we had even later on my very good friend Paidana was a very good stumper.
Yes.
So was Reds Murray, who I played with. Reds Murray was an excellent stumper. except he never, he never played for the West Indies. But both Paidana and Reds Murray were as good stumpers as any wicket keepers that I've seen.
Yeah. Derek Murray played in 63. He played those 5 matches in England in 63.
Yes.
He was studying at the time
Yeah.
at Cambridge, and
Yeah.
they drafted him. He didn't play again until 1973.
Yeah.
Then he took over from Findlay. Well, Findlay had given way to a chap who I think was a very good batsman, Lewis from Jamaica.
He was very good batsman.
Very good batsman. I don't know how good a keeper he was.
Yeah,
but
he was he was not on the upper echelons of pure wicket keeping, but he was as a matter of fact, he opened for the West Indies.
Yeah.
West Indies,
Yeah. And then he just dropped off even for Jamaica. I saw him at Bordeaux in 1975. And you had referenced that match in 75 when Lawrence Rowe and Dujon had just come in. Ajoda Prasad was spinning rings around there. Yeah. And I saw Lewis, then Desmond Lewis. And then he just went off. You just didn't hear about him anymore. He and Newton Dow after the mid 1970s, they just faded. You know? But I had a lot of time for him as a batsman. He was very good. I remember last wicket partnership with he and Lance Gibbs, Lance Smith.
Yeah.
and thing. You heard my conversation with myself. So you have 4 fast bowlers. Sir Andy Roberts, Courtney Ambrose, Michael Oldin, and Malcolm Marshall, and you have to play 3 out of those 4 because 5 fast bowlers would be a kill. If you play all 4 plus Sobers, somebody wouldn't get the bowl. So you have to pick 3 out of the 4. Who are you leaving out, Doc?
I'm gonna surprise you.
Okay, talk to me.
I'm gonna add a 6 to the mix, and pick that 6th person I'm gonna add as my number 3. A guy by the name of Joel Garner.
All right.
And I'm going to tell you why, especially as an opening batsman. The opening batsman don't like, or any batsman don't like the ball coming to you around you, coming up to your height. And that's the one thing that he had more than any one of them. He had the ball coming up because of his height.
Yeah.
And the ball, when it hit it, it would come at a height that makes the batsman feels very uncomfortable. He wasn't as fast as these guys, but he had that. Of course, Michael was really quick, was quicker than him, but it's just that uncomfortableness. The ball, which is the same thing. Ambrose. That is why Ambrose. So mine would have been Marshall, Ambrose, and Garner. Marshall, Ambrose, and Garner, right? And the thing, Marshall was more of a skiddy type.
Yeah.
And he, if you talk to Clive and him, he was also very brainy.
Yes.
Brainy.
As I was talking about Sir Andy as being a brainy fast bowler, I said you're tripping up here because Michael is said to have had a phenomenal fast bowler's brain.
Michael and Marshall too. From Marshall.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's amazing. He had to have had that because it's amazing. Look at his height. Yeah. I mean, Marshall was not a tall guy, but he was more of a skinny type. But he had a lot of he was a special bowler. And the guy was full of energy, and he was a workhorse. Of course, Owen Kraft, he was he was also one of the big workhorses in the mix also. But those would be my 3, and because of my especially with Garner getting the ball to rise off of a good length, consistently. Ambrose does the same thing. I mean, you saw from that clip.
Yes.
Yeah. No batsman like the ball, rising to that height because it's you're in an awkward position, and you can't play your shots well, and so that's why I would give Garno place in front of Holding. Michael is a tremendous bowler. He's fast, yes, but just that uncomfortable height.
Yeah. But it shows that there's not much between our fast bowlers.
No, no.
You can
And,
you can
and
put
we
them
ain't
in.
even and imagine we ain't even bringing Courtney
Where's all?
in this comment. That's
We can bring in Westall in the conversation.
and where's all? That's right.
We have not brought in West in the conversation yet. And when you think about people like Courtney Walsh and so on, who we haven't brought in the conversation.
And Courtney's got a lot more wickets than
the rest of them. Yeah.
Than the rest of them.
Yeah. It's God bless the Caribbean with great fast bowlers. And as I said, you lie down at nights and you can't go to sleep, and your mind won't run to cricket. One of my students was asking me on Thursday. She happened to be walking to class most mornings when I'm going to class. And of course, the typical West Indian thing, you walk into class and you either doing this or you She said, after 7 weeks of seeing, she said, Dr. Hinds, why do you always be doing this? I told her, I said, it's a West Indian thing. It's a West. She said, I want to know why you do it. and so I said, all right, I will. It's a class on Bob Marley that I'm teaching. And so I said, I'm going to play a clip from a video and you'll understand.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I got into class and I played a cricket clip. And she said, oh, so you playing cricket? I said, yes. every boy and now every girl fancy that you are. So you're either doing this if you were going to bowl fast, or you're doing this. And everybody does. And I didn't realize, because I just do it instinctively.
Yes.
I just do it instinctively. It's a 20 minutes walk from the parking lot to my first class. And, the sun is 110 degrees. So you got to do something with that 20 minutes. But yes, God has blessed us with so many. Another week at the office, Doc.
But we're not cutting you.
Yeah.
I think among all the and I had tagged. Well, I know I've tagged our Joseph. First of all, I had tagged when I saw Alzari.
Yes.
In that on the 19, that we won. I said he will become one of those greats. And of course, his injuries and everything, he had some setbacks. But he was another one, tall. At the time had it rising from half of a good length. But the kid that I see at the forefront of all of them right now is Shamar. Without question. And the guy has learned so fast. And the great thing about him is, you saw it in Australia when he bowled such a great line and length. He comes around that off stump all the time.
Yeah, the top of off stump.
On top, and I know, especially as the opening batsman with that new ball, the worst thing is somebody to come around that off stump consistently, because whether to leave alone, to play, and if you bowl at that just short of a good length, whether to play back or play forward, and if the ball is bouncing, but he bowls that line and length consistently and with good pace. So look out for him in terms of. I can't wait to see him in the future cricket test series, not white ball cricket. I'm talking about red ball cricket. Yes. I can't wait to see him in future series.
But I still have to ask you. He didn't play today, for example.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what is Sammy doing? I mean, why is Shamar not playing? I can understand the T20 version, that he's still T20. He still has a lot to learn about the
Yes.
smarts of T20. But ODI, why he's not an automatic pick in the ODI team?
I agree with you. I think I saw him. Of course, you remember I was saying, I don't agree with him going into white ball cricket immediately, but I was happy that they were keeping him around the team in the in the squad so that he can learn, and even in the nets, and they can do some coaching. But I absolutely agree with you. I think he should be in the ODIs. I think he should be in the ODIs. And even that ODI, bowling that white ball would help him transition even to the T20. And he hadn't done that badly in the T20.
No.
We saw it in the CPL. Is that because he's coming into his own. At first, I said, no, he should not be exposed to that T20 because it's a totally different cricket. And for him not to have had any experience. But I saw him in the CPL, and I was impressed with his performance. And he was coming. If you notice, I think it was only one game that he opened with the new ball.
Right.
So I think that he was getting ready to break into the international scene in T20. But definitely ODI, I thought that would have been an automatic choice for him. But I don't know. I don't know what's the why not and what the game plan is.
Yeah. So when we left last week, we were talking about the first T20 that we played against Sri Lanka, and we observed that we got out of jail because of the two opening batsmen and their approach in the power play, and that we were able to notch up 90-something runs in the power play, but struggled. Well, not 83 runs in the power play, and then struggled 97 runs in the next 14 overs. And all of us felt something was not we were struggling. And lo and behold, the second and third T20s, we didn't get off in the power play and just couldn't make headway against the Sri Lankan spinners.
Yes.
Doc, when you look at our domestic cricket, your top 10 bowlers in any competition, whether it is T20, Super 50, or the 4-day game, invariably, our top 10 bowlers, 6 or 7 of them are spinners, which means we are up on a diet of spin. Yet when we go, when we come up against spin bowling against other countries, we struggle. Now, I'm saying that to also say that those who are playing international cricket for us, they don't play in the domestic competition. So they're not even playing against our spin bowlers who are not up there, but at least it's spin bowling. And so when they now have to go and play international teams with the quality spinners that Sri Lanka and the other subcontinent teams have, they struggle. And I mean, I almost cried when I saw what the Sri Lankan spinners were doing to us. Your take?
Yeah, no, well, but the thing is, it's affecting us now psychologically, because I could not believe that a senior member of the team, Chase, complained that they changed the wicket to spin. I mean, it's part of cricket. How could you come out as a big international player and blaming the pit because they changed it to spin? Well, hell, you're playing in their backyard. They know you can't play a spin. But the thing is, it's affecting them now. They say, because he's admitting that we can't play a spin. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
But so, and then again, I am not sure, the quality of our spin bowlers. I am not sure if we're doing enough to develop spinners in the Caribbean. Long time, I mean, as well as I do, long time, as long as you come out of Trinidad, you're great. You come out the Trinidad produce. That's where we used to get our spinners out of Trinidad, because they learn to That's what you do in Trinidad. The wicket, and even on them, they used to play on them Martin wicket.
Wicket. But when
That's
you go
right.
against Trinidad in your time,
Yeah.
Inshar Imtiaz Ali, Rafiq Jumidin,
Rafiq
Ranjin
Jumidin.
Anand.
I played again. I played with all of them. But
they give you the 4 spinners like India.
That's right. So, but now in the West Indies, it's somehow we are not developing. And what's interesting, the wickets in the West Indies are more amenable to spin. Like even Barbados spin long time is pace like fire in Barbados. But for whatever reason, we are not paying attention. And the other thing that I've always advocated for, if we going to Sri Lanka or or India and those places, we know that we're gonna be fed a big diet of spin. We should have a camp beforehand to make sure, like in Trinidad or something, and on that one and because that it's spinning and doing the same thing that it does up there. But we don't prepare ourselves to go up there. We just pick up people, and I don't, you go practice wherever, and whether it's Bangladesh or any place else, and you go there instead of preparing your players. Get a camp and get all your spin bowlers, throw them at you. Or if you're going to Australia, get all your fast bowlers to come at you, or play a lot of, if it's in New Zealand or Australia, you go to St. Lucia and you for a camp for several weeks, and you prepare your players on that St. Lucia wicket, which is the closest to those type of wickets. But we are not. I don't think we are not tactical in the way that we prepare our teams. We just pick up and say, well, okay, whoever's available, you go, and then you go there now and complain. Well, that they're putting us on a spinner's wicket. Well, what the heck?
But look, we are batting on the same wicket that those people are
We're batting on the same, and that is my point. That we are admitting that we cannot play spin bowling. That's what we were admitting when a senior player is saying, and one of the players, by the way, who's supposed to be one of the better players of spin bowling.
That's right.
So we were already admitting, well, go, you know what? We can't cope with this thing, and they're not playing fair. That's what we're saying, that they're not playing fair. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, Asaranga, Tikshana, they are in a league by themselves. But Asalanka, the captain,
yes,
it's just
it's a part-time.
Part-time.
Yeah, part-time.
I'm giving me all the trouble.
Part-time. But what the guys do, Doctor, you see what the guys do. Our problem, a lot of it has to do with discipline.
Yeah.
What the guys do, if you notice what he was doing, he wasn't doing anything, but he was putting it on a spot. He was putting it on a spot, And look, I see was it the second? Yeah, another thing with it, Rutherford, for example. Rutherford played back the ball that probably pitched on his crease.
That was the second one.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I got bowled down.
I
can make that into full task, probably.
That's right. I cussed him nasty. He redeemed himself today because I thought he
played well. He batted really well today.
I cussed him nasty. I cussed him nasty when I said, even me, as Boycott used to say, my mother would not have gotten out to the ball like that.
Yeah. But he batted well today.
He batted well today. And it's a matter of approach.
Yep.
It's a matter
that's what I call that time. That's what I call the discipline, and that's what separates great batsmen from just those that are come and then they're inconsistent. Is that discipline to know to play a delivery to its merit? Big difference. Like the Kohlis of the world, you got to work to get their wickets. In the West Indies, you don't have to work to get their wickets. They might hit 2 4s or 2 6s, but you know that they're gonna do something stupid to give away your wickets. Your wickets should be a prize. It should be very, very valuable, and That's what the difference is. Like even today. Today I saw it was Athenaeus. He hit
Athens.
he hit the ball with
Athens.
one hand six or something.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
he
yeah.
said, go and do the same thing. He got away with it the first time. Because I thought when the ball got up in the air, I thought he was gonna be out. I could not believe the next delivery, same exact thing, and get out.
Jumping down the wicket. I mean, stomping is something that is rare in cricket, but
Yeah.
usually the good batsmen would get stumped by lifting the heel off the ground
That's and dragging.
and dragging them old time batsmen, then jumping down halfway down the ground. I mean, you had a Carl Hooper who, as they used to say, was a ballet dancer,
Yeah.
and I can't ever remember Carl getting stumped.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Basil is not there because you would have given, but I cannot remember Carl Hooper ever getting stumped. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure he would have gotten stumped 1 or 2 times and so on. But he used his feet. These guys are not using their feet; they're jumping down the wicket.
Yeah.
We're every time we seem to be getting it right.
Yeah.
We
They're
go-
jumping
we
down.
go-
They're jumping down and swiping, but you used to call it swiping.
Yes, yeah. Look at Brandon King, who I think is a complete batsman.
Complete batsman.
But
Complete
look
batsman.
how he's getting out. Look today. Look in one of the same exact way. You know. I think.
And you see the thing is, and again talking about discipline, Hope and Brandon King on this team, they should understand their responsibility that they're the 2 key batsmen on this team.
Yeah.
We don't have a Hetmai, we don't have a Puran. The 2 of them are the 2 key on this team and should be playing much more responsible cricket. Much more responsible cricket.
Dr. Adams, we have 4 proper batsmen. You called 2 there, and you said you called the other 2 who hanging out somewhere in Trinidad and Guyana. I hope they're gonna pay T10 or something somewhere. We have 4 proper batsmen in the Caribbean, and put Puran aside. The other 3, you know what I mean? They just give their wickets away. These are batsmen. If they stay at the wicket, runs will come.
Absolutely.
Runs will come.
Yep, absolutely. And the longer they stay, what they don't understand, the longer they stay, the easier it becomes at the bottom end. It's not a case where these guys cannot step it up later on. You know what I mean? Without question, they've shown that they can step it up later, but you gotta be there to step it up later on, and that's what they're not doing.
We have 2 more one-dayers before they come home. I am not hopeful, but we're West Indians and we want them to do better than they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't have our bowlers. Our bowlers will always have a off day and so on.
Yeah.
Seals was not on top of his game today, and
Right.
I think Jaden Seals' problem is he's not playing enough cricket. When he went to England early in the summer and he was playing cricket there day in day out, he came back to the Caribbean and he was blazing fire.
Yeah.
Because he was playing cricket. There is no substitute for playing cricket.
Yeah.
And playing proper cricket on different surfaces in different conditions. And he come to the CPL. He got a couple of games because he wasn't always playing. He played a game here, the droppy. He played a game there, and so there he was. His radar was all wrong today.
Yeah.
He's 10 times a better bowler than the way he bowled today. So I will excuse the bowlers, but the batters I think are not stepping up. Are not stepping up at all.
I totally agree on any given day, but you're right. If we do not get a good start, and even a lot of times you get a good start in the middle would just collapse with batsmen giving away their hands. But it's so dependent upon that top order
Top
start.
order.
And the other thing is, I know that he's he's a little wild sometimes, but I would not leave out Lewis out of
No.
these teams. I don't understand that either.
Since when you're playing Athenaeus before Lewis?
Before Lewis, I do not
What is
understand
that?
that
I
at
know
all.
you've invested in Athenaeus. He's a young man. He has to earn his thing. You are going there to win. You saw what Lewis did in that first T20. All right, Lewis and Brandon King, you opening pair. Give them a run.
Yeah.
Athenaeus has a lot of talent, but he must wait his turn.
Yeah.
How are you going to play Athenaeus in front of Lewis?
And Athenaeus is not setting anything on fire that
No, he's not.
I was shocked. I thought he was injured. I didn't. Yeah, I thought he was injured, Lewis. How could you leave Lewis out of that team?
I sucked my tea this morning when I turned on the TV and saw the team and saw that Lewis. My first thing was that he was injured.
Yeah,
then I realized he's not injured. Thing. Did you follow the India-New Zealand game?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Let me tell you, I was in total shock. But I totally agree with you. I think India has gotten really cocky, and this New Zealand team taught them a lesson. I mean, nobody would have bet any kind of money that India could be bowled out for 46 runs. And so they got a whipping, which means the next test, watch it. The next test is I think they're gonna really come good. So, but New Zealand just took the opportunity and just let them have it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, this guy, of course, the Brooks guy from England,
yes,
is in a class by himself. But this other guy, Ravindra,
Ravindra from New Zealand.
Yeah, that guy is, he is another class.
Special.
Very special. That, because when he came in, he really won this match for them, or else they and all could have been in some serious trouble if he did not put on his head. And the thing is, what's amazing about the guy? The guy comes in and from ball one, he's playing shots. He's not, he's not like Brooks, but the guy plays. He's not coming in and poking around. The guy plays some really nice shots and everything. And he looks so confident, No, but he's a talent.
What I found out from listening to the commentary, he plays in the Indian domestic competition.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he plays in the Indian domestic. Apparently, his parents migrated from India to New Zealand. So
yes, but I didn't realize that he plays in the domestic competition. Because let me tell you something. And if you look at when you come out, look at this new guy that India has come. The guy who made 150.
Safras Khan.
So I said, who the hell is this guy? Check his stats. Do you know that guy averaged 17 first-class cricket?
Yes.
And he's got a triple. He's got a triple 100.
Yep. And he bats. He's what you call an all-format batsman.
Yes.
Whether it's T20 one day or thing, you can see he doesn't have to adjust his game in any big way. He's just a very talented stroke maker. He has a lot of confidence.
Yeah, very, very much. Yeah.
A lot of confidence. I was so impressed with both Ramraja and Safras Khan. I was impressed. But it's good to see India get their ass whipped because they'd gotten too cocky. Pakistan came from behind. Of course, and beat England. And as you heard, as old people say, I had to turn my face. 6 balls and you sweep it out 6 balls. What is that? Doc, you're a batsman.
I am telling you, no, I'm not. I'm not of these modern day, but that sweep. Every time I see somebody plays that reverse sweep, that kind, it my whole stomach. I'm not exaggerating. It, you know, my whole stomach is torn because I would, as a bowler, I would love for you to play that shot. I don't care what, every single delivery, play it. And what I'll do, I'll put somebody on the boundary to stop it, because so you take your chance with a single. If it's that you want, go ahead. Sweep it all the time. Take your chances for a single. But that shot, here I admire these guys for with these new innovative type of things. But I'm telling you, that's one shot, because even with your regular sweep shot, when we were growing up, you can't sweep and be a wrong basketball shot. Guy used to tell you, he said, you're playing, if you notice, you're playing when you sweep, your bat is like this, which means you don't have no face to the ball.
No.
And you're gonna get that, especially if the wicket is turning and bouncing, and you sweep. Whereas if if you play with a full face of the bat, is something different. But when you're sweeping, and there's only one. Well, there are a few sweepers, but the one genius of a sweeper is when I see Brian Lara
Yes.
sweep Morelli to run. I mean, I said this guy. That was when I realized he was a genius.
Yes.
And you see these guys. The other thing is what you notice even in the West Indies cricket, and look where Lara came from Trinidad. Because if you can sweep in Trinidad on a bouncing and turning wicket for spinners, you can sweep anywhere. And you know who was the first real big time sweeper playing for Trinidad? A man by the name of Joey Carew.
Joey Carew, yes.
Joey Carew was he used to love to play that sweep shot.
Okay.
But sweeping was not anything that you were taught, because. And I remember the very first innings that I played in Trinidad in the 19 against Trinidad, and I think it might have been Jumadine, and I batting good because it was the first time I played in Trinidad, so the wicket bouncing and turning, so I decided I'm gonna stick around playing myself, and I playing and I was on 37 or something, and decided that I was gonna go sweep, and guess what happened? Sweep on top edge and get caught. But that taught me a lesson again that I should not have swept. But sweeping is not one of my favorite things because you have very little control. So I know even it doubles the risk when you do this. Well, even more than double when you play this reverse sweep.
Yeah.
Okay, you're predetermined. First of all, you're predetermining you're not even know what the delivery is going to be, to be honest, because you've got to cross your body and everything before the ball is even bowled, so you don't even know what delivery is going to be.
I saw Duckett made a century in the first innings sweeping, and the second innings come out and try the same thing, duck. Try this from the first. You didn't even look at the bowlers, get the pace of the wicket, see where the ball. He just continued from where he left off. He got lucky the first innings, made 115, came back the second, and started sweeping like he's a broomstick. It was really ugly. I just couldn't. And that series that you talked about with Lara against Militaran, and I remember Lara and Sarwan made a lot of runs. The two of them made a lot of runs.
Yep.
Sarwan didn't have to sweep because when Lara done sweep them, he put them out, confuffle them.
Yeah.
And Sarwan was able to play normal cricket shots in the V and made 600 and something runs.
Right.
I think Lara made 800 and something or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember that series and my respect for Lara went up after that.
That was when I realized that that was when I decided, in my assessment, he was a genius.
Yeah.
That was when I decided, made my assessment that he was a genius.
Yeah, amazing. And when you take into consideration somebody like Lara, who was suspect when you bounced the ball into his body.
Yep, yep, yeah. Because that, you remember, that was what South Africa did to him. You remember in South Africa that series?
Yeah. But he was such a genius that
Yeah.
you just saw that not as a chink in his armor, you know. You saw it as just Larry just had a bad day, but he just couldn't handle that ball. But he was so good. He was so good that that didn't prevent him from scoring heavily.
Yeah. So Dr. Hinds, when you look at this man, besides them kind of shots and thing, and he you know, as a guy who plays his shots, and I mean, you can go back and see the number of things. But how could a human being score 500 runs
Yes, sir.
and score 400 runs?
400 runs.
I mean, oh gosh, you know, especially somebody who's just he plays his shots.
Yeah.
Now, he's definitely in my books. He's a genius. I still think Gary Sobers is the best.
Yeah. You remember when we would avoid Hanif Mohammed making 499?
Yeah, yep. Remember Hanif.
When we hear Hanif Mohammed 499, we thought that was out of this world.
Yeah.
Until Lara came and showed that 499 is a breeze and you can do it any day of the week, any day. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Did you follow the women's?
No, I on and off. But yeah, you know, I think you had told me. I did see it on the in a summary thing that with the women they did well. They lost in the semis.
Yes.
So they did well. By the way, I need to deliver this message to my very good friend, a lady by the name of Patricia Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
Patricia Whitaker. She's an attorney in New York. Well, she's retired now. But Patricia Whitaker was the captain of the West Indies women's team at one time,
right?
From Barbados, and she threatened me. She said that you'd better tell Dr. Hinds that, because I think she's probably even listening here, because she's one of the people who tune in sometimes. Said, yeah, I better start talking about women's cricket. Yeah, she threatened me. By the way, she's also on the USA cricket board.
Yes. I remember you mentioning her name as one of the persons that they were trying to push out.
Yes, that's a battle that's going on right now. Yeah, as a matter of fact, they suspended which is a sham suspension, and the ICC is set up a team to investigate what is going on. They suspended 3 members, including her, because they were speaking up against the inappropriateness of the inappropriate behavior of some certain members of the board, dismantling the Constitution and doing things that are just. I mean, I resigned. I had to resign because I said I'm not going to be part of such behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And so they suspend her, and all of that is now on the investigation. But she warned me. She threatened me to say, "You better tell Dr. Hinds that y'all need to be talking about women's cricket."
I spent a lot of time this past 2 weeks looking at the women's team, our West Indies women team, and I'm really impressed with the level of their cricket. I mean, at one point I just switch off the men and just decide that, look, I watching them lady play. These guys here,
but that time they play at a very high level. I just look at some women there. You could think that they would make a lot of men's team. Yeah, they're good cricketers, especially especially in the batting area.
Yeah, you look at some of those Australian women. They can walk into any of the state teams.
Yes.
In men's state team there in Australia. I think they left of.
How did I didn't see? But who beat Australia?
Is this New Zealand? I think it's New Zealand who beat them.
Because I didn't think that anybody was. You
I think
know,
it's.
with the
I
beat
think it's.
Australia.
I think
The
it's New
Indians
Zealand.
have a good team too, and I guess they
Yes.
got
Oh
a lot.
yes. Oh 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 yes. In case you all are just joining us, yes, it's West Indies Cricket 101, and we've been talking about the West Indies this week. Not very much to shout about, but it's West Indies, and we are. I think they're telling us South Africa beat Australia, not New Zealand. South Africa.
Okay, yeah.
South Africa beat Australia, and I wasn't giving South Africa. I mean, they're there and thereabout, and I didn't give them a chance against Australia at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Yeah, but that Jones Cup, not Jones Cup, inter the intercounty cricket. It's good to see cricket at border. Of course, I cannot understand why the Guyana Cricket Board, in conjunction with the government, do not do something to resuscitate border. I mean, it was good to see cricket there, but it looked like a cow pasture.
It's Dr. Hinds. That's always been a sore spot because if you recall, the whole plan, and there was a plan, by the way,
Talk to me.
To expand border, to take in some of GFC,
Right. Yes.
and to go to the mall and all kinds of stuff because it's both, we grew up as part of our history and even culture that about knowing about board and cricket, but the government, I guess, it has to do with politics, to be honest. The government decided to move from there, and that's how the Providence. You remember, the Providence Stadium was built with I can't remember if it's a loan or a grant from India.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, so with under the PPP administration, and just to move cricket entirely from border. But when you go to border now, I mean, it hurts to
Yeah.
see them stands with some famous names.
Mm.
It just looked like a dumb site, basically. When the paint, everything. You got Ron Kanai stand and all those stands. It's just dilapidated.
Yeah,
And it's I saw somebody in a text saying that border it's full of bumps and everything.
yes.
I remember when you played border, it was a billiard stable.
Billiard stable.
But they made the decision, like I said, and they play they play more cricket than Everest. Everest is being kept more, in
more, yes,
better condition than
as Americans would ask, and that's something.
That's right. Everest is being kept in better condition.
Oh boy, politics. Chandrapal made a lot of runs in the competition.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I hadn't seen. I didn't follow it because I guess it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Yes.
I didn't follow it.
But
I did hear that he made some runs.
Yeah. For me, the difference was his approach. He wasn't standing there blocking balls, and
which is good.
He was being positive. And I just want, before we go, to ask you, as an opening batsman, what would be your advice to him? Because I think he's a good talent, but he seems to have this one track approach to batting. Like I said, he in this competition, he seems to step out of that. But I am sure that when he goes to higher quality of opponents, that he might go back into his shell. What advice would you give to him?
Well, the most important thing is we know that he has got the first thing you got as an opening batsman, and he's got that. I mean, there's no question. He's got the defense, so that there's no question. He's got the technique to protect his wicket, and he also has that discipline, to stay and that type of stuff. So I'm glad that now he's developing the other aspect of his game, which is to be a little more aggressive. And aggressive doesn't mean you gotta swipe and take shot. If you can rotate that single, I mean, when I look at a lot of the great like Kohli and them type of folks, if Kohli and them they're not stuck at one end of the wicket all the time for the entire. Those guys, they would look for tuck it around the corner and find a way to rotate the single until you get set. But I'm glad that he's looking for the other aspect of his game, because his defense is there. There's no question, and he knows where his off stump is. He's just like his father. However, he's learned his lesson, of his failures, and probably the best thing that could happen to a batsman is when you build, because he came into the West Indies team on a high, as a top talent, and then of course he sees now that, well, hey, you know what? There's nothing that is easy. You have got to work and be consistent to maintain your place. He lost his place, and now what he needed to regain his place was to make runs. Because you're gonna go back and change your basic technique. And let me tell you something. When you get to that level, you're stuck in what you have, except for a little bit of tweaking here and there. But what makes the difference is your confidence. And the only thing that gives you either confidence or lack of confidence is whether you score runs or you don't score runs. And a lot of times, all it takes, I'm sure you could rattle off some names. Kohli is one of those. Had a streak of failures. Yes. And all it takes a lot of times is just one score.
Yeah.
So now, since he scored big, hopefully when he gets back and he gets a big score coming back in, and he might take off from there. But I'm glad that he's making runs, because he's got he's got the mental toughness. I don't have any issue with that. But then when you lose confidence, Dr. Hinds, I've been there. It's the worst thing when you're walking out and you're nervous. You have no rhythm to your batting. All you're worried about, oh gosh, if I get out, and especially you're afraid of what people are gonna say, and it's a bad feeling. And on the other hand, when you're making runs, you believe that you're invincible. You're on top of the world. When you're walking out there, you're walking out, with your collars up, and and that's the difference. It makes a big difference. You go and you play, with freedom, and hopefully that's where he's gonna be when he gets back. So I'm glad that he's getting into the runs.
I'm glad to talk about with the collar up. I just tell my students and them know that all the style that you all get now with your collar, they had a man named Gary Sobers.
Gary Sobers, yeah. Yep, Gary. But you can see. Look at how Gary used to walk to the same thing with Viv Richards.
Viv, yes.
When you see them coming in, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
But that's the spunk, and that's the the intimidation type thing that they put into you, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. I was telling my students that all the time. We were doing something in class a couple of weeks ago in Stokely Carmichael. I played a video and so on. Stokely and so on. The guys have said, Dr. Hinds, we thought that was a Gen X thing. I said, well, there was Gen X before you all. Because they really thought the attitude and so on is their Gen X story. And they were so, what? Dr. Hinds, you sure he wasn't doing that the other? I said, no, that's in the 60s. He was doing that. History is such a great teacher. And one of the things these days is that we have, all these, thank God for things like YouTube and so on.
Yes.
We can see some of these people, men and women of old, and really saying to the youngsters, you all are standing on some shoulders. You all didn't understand. Dr. Vincent Adams, it's always a pleasure teasing your brains and getting your perspective. Hope the coming week is going to be a better week for us. We have And so when we come next week, we hope we're going to be spreading.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Anytime. Take care.
And to you, the audience, thank you all for spending part of your Sunday night with us as we talk about this great game. Cricket, lovely cricket. At Lord's where I saw it. At Border where I saw it. Or the Kensington Oval. Or Sabina Park. And if you're Antiguan, for me it's the ARG. I still ain't get used to all the other things. Or Queen's Park Oval. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you all next week for another edition of West Indies Cricket 101.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the